Hi, Bhuvanish. Can you tell us something about your automation experience? Yeah.
Okay, so I have I've been using Selenium uh, for the UI automation. Like all the projects have been worked. It's Selenium based with Java,
Hmm.
uh, and I have done a little bit of backend testing for the APIs.
Hmm.
I have exposure towards REST assured,
Hmm.
and with respect to performance, I have worked with JMeter tool. Yeah. So those are the automation specific skills that I have.
Hmm. So you have 4 years of experience in automation itself, right?
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
completely into automation. Yeah.
Okay. So now let us start with the scenario-based questions.
Okay.
Hmm. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it is visible.
Hmm. Okay. Now this is a use case that you have to automate. So there is a drop-down list on a web page, and there is a link on another page. So you have two web pages here, right? On
Okay.
one web page, you have a drop-down list. Another page, you have a link.
Okay.
Now, as soon as you click on that link, a new tab will be opened and another drop-down will appear, right? Now, how
Hmm.
will you find the common options between these two drop-downs? So you have to automate these things, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So using the best practices, the Java concepts, you have to automate these things. So can you explain step-by-step approach? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's just consider we are having the driver session for the current session.
Hmm.
So in current session we are having a drop down. So that
Hmm.
if there is a select tag embedded to that web element, we'll be using the select class of Selenium, and then we'll be choosing the options that the user wants to give. Uh, so we'll be giving that option, and then we'll be doing a click operation.
Hmm.
So once that click is being done, it is going to get navigated to a different tab altogether.
Hmm.
So we do have to have a driver switch to method to
Right.
get the particular tab ID. Maybe
Hmm.
we have the title, right? So we'll be like
Hmm.
iterating over the title, and then we'll be switching to that particular tab, a new tab that's been opened. So in that tab, we do have another drop down. So again,
Correct.
we'll be like
Hmm.
checking like at the time in the new tab, we are just verifying that uh, option details, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe we could store everything in a list,
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
and then we could navigate back to the older tab, and then we'll get the all the again we'll be doing we'll be getting a list of again the
Hmm.
previous sessions
Hmm.
drop down options, and then we'll do a comparison uh, between the two those two lists. Yeah.
Right, right. So first drop down values you will store in one list. So let's say that is list one variable. The second drop down you again have list two, and then you have to compare both the list, right? So that's one of the thing that you have to tell. Okay, yeah. So you mentioned that thing, and then uh, whenever you click on this link, a new tab will be opening. So you won't be able to do anything on the existing web page. Then what
Yeah.
will you do? Yeah,
Again, we have to like get window handles we have to do, and
window
then we have
handles.
to fix
Right.
the like we have to navigate back to the previous one.
Right, right. So what is the return type of window handle and window handles?
Uh, uh, Window handles will give a set of set,
Hmm.
and we have to iterate over it. And window handle will give integer, I guess. It is a set of integer, and it is a set. No, 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 no. It's a string. Yeah, it's a string. Set
Yeah,
of string, and then it's a string output. Yeah.
right, right. Okay, okay. Now let me take you to another scenario. Mm, okay, you are aware about TestNG, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. So I have used TestNG in my automation framework, and I have created 5 test methods. Right, one test method is having priority as -1. One test method is having priority as 0. One
Okay.
test method is having priority as 1, and two test methods are having priority as NP. NP means no priority,
Mm,
right?
priority.
Now, in what order will they get executed?
Uh, okay.
Hmm.
So if there is a priority, those will be starting from negative values to positive values.
Hmm.
So we'll have the priority three test cases being executed from 0, 1, and like -1, 0, and 1.
Hmm.
And we do have two non-priority tests, right? So it's
Hmm.
based on the method name, whichever it's alphabetically like started in the first thing will be executed in
Hmm.
fourth, and then like it will flow.
Okay.
The execution will flow.
Okay. So you mean the NP, the no priority that has been given, so that you will check with the alphabetical order also.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. Let me stop sharing. So it is fine. Okay. When will you use close and quit methods?
Okay. This close is particular to particular session,
Hmm.
and like whichever, like if there are multiple tabs, like
Hmm.
always the driver will be pointing to a specific tab, right? So the close function will close the particular tab. In quit, it will quit all the driver session that's been open.
Hmm.
So usually we do quit operation at the end. Uh,
Quit
at the
operation
end,
at the end.
at the tear down of each test classes that we have. Maybe
Hmm.
like after test, after class annotation we can have, and then we do a drive dot quit.
Right. Okay. Fine. Now let's say you have worked with the functional manual testing team, right? And they have allocated 15,000 test cases to you. So
Yeah.
what will be your approach? How will you automate 15,000 test cases?
Okay. So it's based on the severity and priority of the test cases. So the first high severity, high priority will come in picture,
Hmm.
and then high severity like mid low priority, like medium priority will come in picture, and
Hmm.
then once we have covered all the severity high severity test cases, we can go for the high priority ones, and we could like the first plan of action should target the high severity test cases,
Hmm.
followed by the high priority ones.
Right, right. So here you can also say you will identify how many test cases are actually eligible for automation, right?
Okay.
It is a
Okay.
possibility that
Mhm.
not all the 15,000 test cases would be eligible for automation, right? So
Okay.
first you will also see, okay, so first is the business priority. So that is the correct point that you mentioned. You will identify the priority out of 15,000, let's say, uh, the business team or the stakeholders, you had a meeting with them and you came to a conclusion that 10,000 test cases, or let's say 3,000 test cases, are of highest priority. Now, out of those 3,000, how many are eligible for automation? Now, let's say out of those 3,000, 2,000 can be automated. So you will give a time plan or you will give a timeline to the stakeholder for those 2,000 test cases, and you will also mention that remaining 1,000 cannot be automated, right? So you will
Mhm.
mention it crystal clear in the email itself,
Okay.
so that those things are not haphazard, right? And then they don't expect that, okay, why were you not able to automate other 1,000 test cases? So now in those 2,000 test cases, you will identify the approach, right? So let's say if these test cases are ones in which you have to pass the data from some particular file or some particular uh, as per test data testing, you have to pass some data to them and you have to verify. Then you will be going for a data driven framework. In a data driven framework, we what do? We use an Excel file or XML file or maybe CSV file, and then we pass the data, right? So you will define the approach, right? So approach means you will also decide the framework, what framework would be useful to here, and which framework would be more easy for you to implement as well, to start up with, right? If you see that it's related to some kind of keywords that you are waiting from the client side, those are in the form of given, when, then, or those are in the form of prerequisite that has been already given, or some action item to be performed in the form of when, what is the expected result in the form of then you'll go for BDD framework, right?
Okay.
So such kind of things you have to tell when you get such kind of question, right? So approach means you will identify the test cases, you will see what is the functionality. Okay, second thing is you also have to see whether you have proper product knowledge or not, right? If you don't have product knowledge, then maybe you will refer some videos, you will contact the manual test leads, and you will touch base with them, you will coordinate with them with respect to product knowledge, and then you will come forward, right? So those
Okay.
how you have to, those things you have to see. Last but not the least, how you will trigger the automation, right? So is it going to be using CI/CD pipeline, maybe Jenkins, maybe Azure DevOps, or
Okay.
how you are going to trigger the automation? So those kind of things, you will
Mm.
first prepare a plan, you will chalk out the plan, you will discuss with the stakeholders, or in case of service-based company, you will discuss with the client, and then you will come up with the final approach,
Got it. Got it.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how you can plan and you can take the decision. Hmm.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So you are using Jenkins, right? In
Yeah.
DevOps as a DevOps tool.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Now let's say you have two suite
Mm.
and automation with you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Is my screen visible to you?
Yeah. Mm.
Hmm. One is the regression suite. One is
Mm.
the smoke testing suite. How will you
Okay.
create triggers for both these suites?
Okay. So let's just say we are having Maven as a build tool.
Hmm.
So in POM XML, we can create two profiles, one specific for one with smoke and one with regression. And there is this Maven Sure Fire plugin that we
Hmm.
have for the Maven. And in that plugin, we'll be mentioning the specific TestNG XMLs that we are gonna execute for smoke. And and for the regression profile, we'll be grouping all the TestNG XML files that we have created. And then once we have this both the Maven profiles created, we could create a Jenkins pipeline to check out
Hmm.
specific brands. Like let's say here, usually it will be developed, right? So develop brands will be checking out from this project URL, and then we can have some bad command. If we want to trigger this smoke profile, maybe we can have some build condition where we'll have a boolean entry for smoke, and then like if smoke is enabled, that particular stage for smoke will be executed. So in smoke we'll be doing a checkout, and then we'll be having this maven clean test minus p and the profile name.
Hmm.
Similar goes for the regression as well. We can have a separate stage with a when condition, if this has to be executed or not. And if this is executed, we'll be doing that checkout stage, and then we'll be like running that even clean build for the regression profile as well. So
Hmm.
we can trigger those two.
Okay.
Mm,
So when you say you will trigger both the suits,
mm.
so would it be triggered? Is it possible to trigger both at the same time?
Uh, it's based upon like maybe for the smoke usually runs for uh, particular server, so we have to mention like uh, we do have a particular environments, right? So
Hmm.
if it's gonna be the same environment, then it gotta be with different users, so that
Hmm.
parallel runs doesn't like uh, affect each other.
Right.
And yeah, it's again like if you go with that Maven Sure Fire plugin, right, we'll be
Hmm.
mentioning the thread count as well. So even though we have like four TestNG XML files in the single profile, we can order like we can like make the execution in such a fashion that we can have parallel XML runs. So we have to design the test cases in such a way that each suite will be using a different user, so that
Hmm.
each thing will be independent with each other, so that we can like reduce the time as well. And yeah,
Okay.
we could
Right.
reduce the execution time.
Fine. So you will use user A for smoke and you'll use user B for regression. That's what you are telling, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now regression suite might be having more test cases. So this will run somewhere around 10 to 8 to 10 hours.
Hmm.
This might get completed within 1 hour or maybe 1.5 hours itself, right? Okay.
Yes.
Now let's say the client is looking for early results, right? So
Hmm.
let's say you have a production release, they are looking for early execution, quick execution, so that they get results early and they are able to have the production release also successfully at an earlier
Okay.
stage. So is it
Okay.
possible to divide this regression suite into two particular suits?
Yeah. So
Hmm.
there is this concept called sanity.
Hmm.
Uh, like we can have a separate profile
Hmm.
named sanity, and then we can have like the main features, like main functionality of each of the features in the sanity profile, so that we can have a like
Hmm.
quick certification of like maybe if maybe the sanity will take around like 3-4 hours. So
Hmm.
uh, like smoke is just to like test if the basic functionality is working or not.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll have a sanity profile, one more sanity profile, which test each features
Hmm.
on an overall level, so that we can, uh,
Right. Okay, so let's say now you came up with the sanity suit. You have 4 hours for the sanity suit, and now you have
hmm,
4 hours for regression also, because few of the test cases will be covered here, right? So is
yes,
it
yes.
possible to execute these both the suits in the same machine?
Yeah, we could execute it. Yeah,
Hmm. So when you
yeah.
say in the same machine, so you
Hmm.
can run this on Chrome browser, for example, you can run this on Firefox browser, right?
We can, we can run both of them like in different
Hmm.
browsers. Yeah, that is there.
Yeah.
And
So how
we
can you achieve this thing in Selenium automation?
again like
Hmm.
we can have a different stage, and then
Hmm.
in different stage we can again will be as we have discussed previously, we'll have a property
Properties file.
file, right? So in
Yeah.
property file we'll have a like in that Jenkins stage we'll have a bad command to modify that specific property file in case
Mm.
if we are running sanity. So we can edit that property file with that browser value as a Firefox, and then we can trigger it with a separate stage that we can do.
Mm. Okay.
And
Now,
we have to clone it
mm,
differently. Maybe in this case, we do have to have two separate checkouts.
correct, correct. You will
Yeah.
have to. Okay. Now, what if
Mm, mm,
the client is asking that they need to
mm.
execute both of these suits in the same browser? Then,
Then maybe we can like, since regression will be
mm,
planning like parallelly, right?
mm,
Even though we have multiple profiles, we'll be running those based on the fork counts. Maybe the fork count is like we have four regression test cases, and
mm,
then the fork count is four. If we wanna run sanity along with that, maybe we can
mm.
increase like sanity. Say,
Thread count.
yeah,
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
have a thread count increase, and then we may have to like usually we'll write test cases accordingly. Like it should be standalone, so
Mm.
it shouldn't be an issue if we run
Right,
parallelly.
right, right. So parallel instances of Chrome browser would be triggered. Right
Yeah.
here you will have to increase the thread count. Here, you know what you will have to do is, if you have to execute in the same machine, you will
Mm.
have to see the CPU utilization also. So CPU of that machine should be good enough.
Yeah.
If you use the normal local machine, it will take a lot of time in just opening the third or fourth instance itself, right? It will take a lot of
Yes.
time in just loading the URL. So
Yeah,
those
yeah.
kind of constraints you have to highlight first.
Hmm.
Then what is the environment in which you need to trigger? If it's a good cloud machine with a good
Yeah.
configuration, so those kind of infrastructure environment things you need to take care. Else what will happen? The
Hmm.
scripts will fail. The If you don't analyze or if you don't
Hmm.
debug in detail, the message that will go to the management is that scripts are getting failed, there is an issue with the release, we cannot go with the production, right? Which is not
Exactly.
correct thing. It's an infrastructure issue. It's an environment issue that you are facing here, right?
Ah,
And there is nothing to do with the scripts.
got
These
it.
scripts were running earlier in
Got.
the staging environment. They were running properly in the test environment. They were running properly in the staging UAT environment, right? Now, why
Yeah.
they're not running when the things are being deployed to the production
Got it.
environment, right? So
It,
such
it
kind of things you have to take care.
got it. It is the
Everything will
same
come.
scenario happened in our project as well.
Yeah.
We were having like multiple VMs, and then
Mm,
since based on the performance utilization, right, we can't handle like more than two web browsers at the same time. So what we did is that we have moved to this Selenium box.
mm,
It's a kind of a remote web driver. We'll be initializing the remote web driver, and
mm,
then like we'll be like getting some
mm,
we'll be having some it's a closed source project. We'll be
mm,
getting the driver installation details from the Selenium box team, so
mm,
that even though if you're trying to run like eight four counts in one machine, the
mm.
drivers are gonna browsers are gonna invoke in a cloud VM, and
Right.
it is not in local, so that we could handle like a multiple like the infrastructure
Mm.
kind of issue that we had previously was we were able to overcome it with this thing. So
Right.
we reduced the VM counts.
VM
So
counts.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
using.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Actually,
Mm.
the 2 points that are difficult in automation is how you can convince the stakeholders or clients to ensure that you need proper environment infrastructure, right? Because
Yeah,
they are not technical enough. So it becomes difficult, and it is actually, it becomes one of your responsibilities itself to convince them to bring up to those kind of understanding that yes, you need certain amount of things to ensure that such kind of parallel execution do happen,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That is correct. Yeah.
So that is there. Okay, fine. Now let's move to the next question. Hmm. So, um, you might be following agile methodology, right?
Mm.
Hmm. So how will you sign off a particular user story? Do you have certain definition of done items or some certain checklist on the basis of which you will sign off a particular user story?
Uh, so automation specific story will be creating specific to one feature automation maybe.
Hmm.
So we have this process where we like after right after we have done with the feature automation, we'll be having an execution of that feature automation in our local. We use Allure for the reporting. So like we'll be sharing the Allure report along with the PR, and
Hmm.
once the PR is merged, we'll be integrating it with the regression, right? So
Hmm.
once we have a regression run for the specific profile and it's completely like certified, we'll mark that unless until if there is any open bugs for the feature, like will mark that story as done.
Hmm.
That is what we follow in our current uh,
Okay.
schedule.
So
Yeah.
if you don't have any open bugs for that user story, you will mark it as done. What about the automation
Yeah, yeah,
perspective?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That is what I'm telling. So
Ah.
we have to have an execution for that script that we have written,
Hmm.
and that script execution result, like since we are using Allure for the reporting, we'll be having that Allure report,
Report.
HTML
Ah.
report. So
Attached to
that
that.
yeah,
Okay.
we have to attach that report in the uh, PR, and then once the PR is merged, we'll be integrating it to the regression profile, like since we were mentioning it earlier, right? So that
Hmm.
will be I'll be creating a TestNG XML file for that particular feature, or if it's an part of an existing, like it's an add upon an existing feature, I will add the test parameters in the existing TestNG XML files, and then I will have a regression run for that, and to find if there is no breakages
Hmm.
in the run. So once that feature automation is tracked as
Hmm.
a part of regression daily
Hmm.
weekly regression, then we can have it certified, and then we can close the user story.
User story. Okay.
Yeah.
That means in a user story, you are doing both the things simultaneously, manual as well as automation.
Usually there is a network engineers will be collaborating with, so those people will be doing the manual test for the feature, and my task is to get the details from them, and like automate the same scenario that has to be done. So
Right, right. Now,
mm,
let's see
mm,
whether it's manual or it's automation. It's a part of testing itself. So how will you
okay,
estimate that user story? You will
okay.
give separate story points to that user story. The manual team will give separately or together. So how do you estimate? Yeah.
Um, so as I was mentioning, it is n plus one sprint where that we follow. So whatever it's done as part of previous sprint, I'll be taking up it in this next sprint. So there will be a user story assigned already for that previous story. And again, it's not like maybe there is some more amount of library that we have to write for this particular feature. So it's based on the feature wise, like how much time it's gonna consume,
Hmm.
or if it's utilizing the existing methods, we just have to do some other flow. It's based upon that. Yeah,
Hmm.
I would probably estimate it based on the like reutilization of the existing methods. If it's a
Hmm.
new library, we have to probably give 5 story points for that story.
Five story points.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And what is the duration of the sprint?
Uh, it's 2 weeks sprint that we follow currently.
Hmm. Okay. So now
Mm.
we come to another scenario based question. So you have 2 weeks of sprint. Okay. You
Okay.
have
Yeah.
given the five story points to some particular user story. But in
Mm.
that same sprint, the developer will take its time to
Mm.
develop the user story, design the user story, right? Do some
Mm.
coding. And
Okay.
the functional team will also perform their own testing. So do
Mm.
you think in the same story you would be able to automate, sorry, in the same sprint, you would be able to automate the user story simultaneously with them?
Uh, Theoretically, it should be possible, uh,
Practically,
but
it's not
we practically
possible.
it's not possible
Right.
because every time there will be a delay.
Hmm.
There might be some breakages. So
And code will not be stable, right?
yeah, it won't be stable. Yeah,
There are
and
there are times when functional team have to run multiple test cycles to make sure that those things are working, right?
yeah,
So in a
yeah.
real-time interview, you give those kind of answers. See, sprint
Okay.
duration,
Mm.
user story estimation.
Okay.
The best thing is you can give the answer, I am automating the user stories that are being signed off manually in the previous sprint, right?
Okay.
So now let's come to the first question, the definition of done. So definition of done says the automation uh, might be done in a next sprint. You should have 60 to 70% of coverage for that particular user story in which they did not had any bugs in the previous sprint, right? So that's how
Got
you can frame, right? Because they will be asking you questions based on what answers you will give, right?
got it. Got it. Yeah, understood.
Okay. Hmm. Now, how will you increase the test case coverage in or okay, how will you increase the automation code coverage?
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Mm. So there is this thing we did in our project. Uh, our application is a we use Dockerized deployment. So we do have multiple Docker services running in the servers.
Hmm.
Um, and it's mostly Java based code. So there was this tool, Jacoco code coverage tool.
Hmm.
So we'll be integrating this Jacoco code coverage jar file
Hmm.
in that Docker Compose file. So
Hmm.
after integrating that in the Docker Compose file, we'll be doing a Docker restart, and then that agent will act as a listener for that particular service.
Hmm.
So after the agent is configured, we'll be running like usually what we do, like we'll run our regression profiles, right? This
Hmm.
agent will keep a track of every logged action that we are doing in the automation, and then
Hmm.
it will keep it in some executable file,
Hmm.
and that executable file will have will take that executable file after the regression runs, and then we'll be uh, there we'll be using our dev team is using the Gradle for the build generation. So
Hmm. Hmm.
we'll do a Gradle build for that particular exe file, so that it will show the coverage report of what and all the classes that automation has covered, and what are it's been not covered. So we can have a holistic view of whatever automation code has covered in the particular package. Maybe we can have a from discussion with the dev team, we can have a logic where that has been missed from automation, and we can add it later.
Hmm.
So that is
Hmm.
what we were doing as part of this automation coverage.
Right. So you are using Jacoco tool.
Hmm.
Is this an open source tool?
It's an open source tool, yeah.
Okay. But the code on
Hmm.
which you will be running, that is not an unprotected code, right? Those binaries, those DLLs would be licensed, those would be protected. So it's a web application, right? Which you have
It's the
automated.
application, yeah.
Hmm.
We
So
will,
those
yeah.
licenses, those binaries would be protected, right? So it is not
Mm,
possible for Jacoco to.
you are saying that SSL certificate, those things?
No, no, not SSL certificate.
Ah.
Let's say these binaries, right?
Hmm.
The
Hmm. Hmm.
build that is being done, maybe using
Hmm.
Gradle or so
Hmm.
those things will be protected, right? Those binaries, those libraries will be protected. It's not possible for an external tool to go inside and track what all lines of the code has been
No,
covered.
no, no, no. The agent will be integrated in the server itself, where the application is being deployed.
Okay, when the
So
application has been
yeah, yeah.
deployed.
The
Okay.
build generation will anyway we
Hmm.
have to build based on their code base, right?
Hmm.
Let's just say an service one is having a code base. We have to take a clone of
Okay.
that code base somewhere in our
Hmm.
in our project, and then we
Right.
have to place that particular Jacoco exe file, and then we have to do a Gradle build for that thing. So that exe file will have the logged data of what are the class files that's been called. So
Right.
that Gradle build will correlate the log files content with the class files directory that's been there.
Hmm.
So based on that, it will generate a report. So yeah, we were doing it. Yeah,
Right. Right. No, no, that is
yeah, yeah,
possible.
yeah.
Correct.
Mm.
Okay. In your resume, you have mentioned you have refactored failure cases for the regression test cases and maintained the KPI greater than 90%. So can you elaborate this statement?
Okay.
Mm.
As I was mentioning, we have this weekly regression. So
Mm.
we were this project we have been doing it for like past 3 years, and we have multiple features, and we have around 2,000 cases for the legacy alone. And maybe the current sprint will have current features, and then those will be tracking it as part of a different profile, maybe feature specific profile. So like we were having an runtime of like around 2 days, because we were running it in a serial fashion previously. And so what I've done is that I've refactored, like what to say, as we are mentioning, right, we'll need to run the test cases in parallel. So there has to be some business logic that has to be done to the specific test suite to make it done parallelly. So those we have done. And we since we have moved to this Selenium box, we were able to run parallelly using less infrastructure thing. And and every feature like we are doing, there will definitely be an breakage to the existing flow. Maybe like there we are doing something, and there is a new feature that will optimize the flow. So we have to refactor the old legacy code that will have the older flow. So those things we will have to do it as part of this weekly failure analysis. And
Mm.
we will have to catch the collateral bugs. So
Correct.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, those things are there. Yeah, that
Right.
is what.
So parallel execution helped you to reduce the time duration of the regression suit.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Hmm. Okay. So what are your roles and responsibilities in the automation project currently? So how do you start your day?
We'll start with the sprint call in the morning.
Hmm.
So I'll be giving an update of what is the current task that I've been working on, and if there are any hindrance in the flow, I'll be checking with the developer. And after this is after the meeting is done, I will work till like afternoon. I'll work on the feature execution flow. And since will be running the weekly regression, we have to refactor particular have to check if there are any collateral bugs. So first day of the week we'll be checking the uh, regression failures. And we also have this auto gap thing. So like we'll be raising a bug with an attribute if it is not automated or not.
Hmm.
So uh, there will be a target assigned to us, like these like we'll be having a filter for the non-automated bugs. So we have to work upon the uh, bugs that are automated and that's been
Hmm.
fixed. So that I'll be doing. So
Okay.
well, completing all this, my day will be done. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So let's say your automation is running and
Mm.
you have these test cases created in the test management tool. So is your automation suite integrated with the with the test case management tool? Will it update the test case also with the pass fail status?
Uh,
You
we
are
were not
understanding the
having.
question,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Hmm.
understood. We have a test case management tool, but the interlinking between the automation and this, we don't have a linkage right now.
Don't have like it.
We don't
Okay.
have link right now.
Okay.
So,
So which is the
so
test case management tool that you, yeah, yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
yeah. We have an internal tool. There will be having the manual test case being uploaded. There
Hmm.
will be having a field is it is automated or not. So based on our feature automation, once it is
Hmm.
being integrated to the regression pipeline, we'll be marking it as manually automated or not.
Okay.
So
Okay.
those things we are doing. Interlinking uh, seamlessly
Hmm.
it is not there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. No worries. So which is the test case management tool that you are using?
We use the seededs for like it is again particular like internal tool
Hmm.
for Cisco that we use. And we use Jira board for the sprint and all that. For
Hmm.
test case management, we are using this one.
Right. Right. Great. So Bhuvanish, I am done with the interview. Do you have any questions for me?
Mm, I was getting it and I forgot it. Mm,
No worries.
no.